Happy Monday. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridget on this March the 4th, 2024. Hope you had a great weekend and managed to squeeze in some fun and stay dry despite some storms out there. It was a little bit wicked yesterday, and meteorologist Candace Campos is tracking fog for us this morning, and it's just one of those mornings where like all that weather from yesterday sort of cooked up what we have waking up this morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very 7:42. Did you say that, Marcus? Okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I'm not missing my next hit. Yeah, it's just very humid out there. We are dealing with very dense fog. And then the skies will clear a little bit. We'll get some sunshine. We'll heat things up. And then before you know it, we're back into a stormy setup. But with the storms in place, just do be aware that it's not going to be the same area seeing the same amount of rain at the exact same time. It is going to fluctuate from day to day, which is why I'm here to help guide you through each day of the week. So let's take it to the map, show you what's going on. What you do need to know the moment you walk out the door, it is a foggy start right now. Temperatures are at 63 degrees. Visibility is very limited across central Florida. As we continue into the afternoon, though, the skies are going to continue to clear. The moment we start getting that sun, that will allow that mixing of the air, will mix out that fog pretty quickly. But in the meantime, we're less than about a mile visibility across a big portion of central Florida, pretty much along I-4 and towards the north and west. We're pretty much down to zero in some areas there in Daytona Beach, near Smyrna Beach as well. Less than a half a mile there in Leesburg as well. So as we take you here throughout the next few days, we are going to continue to see those storms in the forecast. Today, tomorrow, Wednesday looks like it could be the strongest of the weather. The storms could be the strongest of the week on Wednesday, as temperatures are still pretty steady. We'll be staying in the low 80s. But then as we head into the latter part of the week, we'll dry out just a little bit. It will stay warm. Come Saturday, we will have the potential of seeing temperatures back into the upper 80s in some spots. So we are watching. Here's that area of low pressure. We have that trailing cold front that's kind of keeping the moisture in place. And it's going to be that focal point for one, fog in the morning, and two, those storms in the afternoon. So out the door right now, not only is it foggy, we're also dealing with temperatures in the mid 60s. Now let's look here at the clouds and rain forecast. Just like a normal summer setup, we're going to have that east and west coast sea breeze. They develop all the time, all year round. But when you don't have moisture and heat to create more instability, you really don't see the sea breeze. But you do see it this week because we have a lot of that moisture still kind of just suspended over central Florida. So you have the east coast coming from the Atlantic, you have the west coast sea breeze coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. And where they collide, there's only one place for them to go, and that's up. So it's that lift and that build that you see. So as you look here, by 6 o'clock, where we see the scattered showers, primarily in Polk County, that's where the sea breezes are going to collide. And then it looks like it will kind of linger there across our far inland zones into the evening. Then as we head into your Tuesday, we'll have a stronger west coast sea breeze. So that's going to push everything from west to east throughout the day. So you can see we will be lining up some scattered storms on by 5, 6 o'clock on Tuesday, continue to push into the evening hours towards our east coast counties there, into the late night, early morning hours of Tuesday night and into Wednesday. You can see by Wednesday at midnight, models are still picking up some pretty active weather with another round of rain expected on your Wednesday afternoon. So again, scattered showers will be in the forecast each afternoon, but where they're going to focus on will be very dependent on where the sea breezes will be. So for today, for your Monday, your rain chances will be about 30%. It's kind of that summer setup. We do have a severe weather risk on Wednesday with those lines of storms. As of now, it's a marginal risk. We'll continue to iron out those details and more the timing of that as we get a little closer in. But as we get results here throughout the next 7 days, again, rain chances become a little more elevated. We'll have kind of a pulse of moisture that will add to that mix Tuesday and Wednesday, drying out a little bit. But look at your temperatures on Saturday. We're up to 87 degrees potentially, and then we will move that clock ahead 1 hour. Yes, we lose an hour of sleep, but it won't be as dark as it has been as you head home from work and school next week, as those sunrises and sunsets will be pushing out an extra hour or so. So, You know how it feels like, oh, it rains every day at 3 o'clock. That's kind of the setup we're going to start getting into, but it's not going to be everybody, and it's not going to be all day, Bridget.
Yeah, I'm sure, as we're kicking off this spring break season, people will be a little perturbed, with the traveling and trying to get in and out of here and enjoy things. It will be a bit of an interruption for those folks.
Yeah, and this is the time of the year where people are like, well, you said it was going to rain, your 50% chance of rain, and I didn't see anything. And that was a setup yesterday. Yesterday, you had folks who had crazy storms. And one of our
Right.
producers, the producer of this show right now, he was saying, it was like there was thunderstorms all around us. We got like 2 minutes of a little bit of rain, that was it. Where I was seeing a torrential downpour where I was living. So it's
I
all very
know.
dependent on where you are. The Pinpoint Weather app is going to be a fantastic tool. I say that practically every day, but especially as we head into the afternoons where it gets a little dicey, whether or not you can pick up the kids from school or not, or all that fun stuff. The Pinpoint Weather app is very handy this time of the year.
It sure is. And just like we showed people this morning on the morning news, that awning fell off of the Home Goods out on Redbug Lake Road. And it's just like, it was just a
Yes.
storm, another stormy afternoon in Central Florida, but wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just be prepared. Again, it's all going to be reliant on where that sea breeze collides. So if it's going to be further west, then that's where the storms will be. If it's further east, that's where the storms will be. So stay tuned. Well, I'll have more details tomorrow on Breakfast with Bridget.
Yeah, let's place our bets, Candace.
Yeah, right.
All right, thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
Candace talked a lot about this fog. You saw some of the weather cameras, and Trooper Steve is about to be on patrol. He's out in Results 1, and these are those tricky conditions to drive in, these foggy mornings.
You're right, Bridget, because sometimes we get so complacent that we forget that weather can change like this here in Central Florida. I live fairly close towards Candace, and those storms were rocking for me
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. But I'm always complaining that in our area they dodge us, so it's definitely pays mine to be weather aware. But I like it, so I had the blinds open, just letting the thunder and the
Mm-hmm.
lightning rock and. Oh, it made for a really good night's sleep, but that weather did not make for a good morning. A lot of that fog out there. So we can jump straight to DOT cam and show you what's going on out here. We've issued a traffic alert, not because of the size of the crashes, but because of where they're at. This first one's eastbound I-4 at the 66. It's not blocking any lanes. We were on the left side. Now we're on the right side out here. Kind of piecing this all together, but because of where it's at, it is causing some issues out by the attractions. Again, eastbound by exit 67, so just be cautious, give them some space. This is what I like to call a soup sandwich. This was multiple vehicles involved here overturned. Now, when you look at this, you're probably wondering, how does this even happen? We're eastbound I-4 here to the exit to John Young Parkway, right there in the city, and only thing that tells me someone's not paying attention, enters the ramp here way too quick, rear end collision, and now we have multiple injuries. The good thing is there's nothing life threatening. They're going to open this up here shortly. Again, eastbound I-4 right there at John Young. You can see your main lines not affected by this. Just when you exit there, please exit slowly. Rio Grande in Michigan, all clear. Your drive times, a little spotty this morning, Bridget. 27 minutes from Osceola Parkway to Colonial. That's with that other crash. And then 22 from Lake Mary, just because those Lake Mary delays are there. Westbound, there's fog out there, too, as you're crossing over Lake Monroe. This crash is out by the new extension that we just created. If you haven't had an opportunity, I enjoy just driving, so I'm a weirdo. But I went out there and just drove this the other day. It is so nice. Not something I would say, hey, go out and make a day of driving the extension, but it does save you a few minutes. 46 northbound at 429, minor crash there, and I got a minor one over further west at the 453 extension at Sorrento. So as long as people take it easy today, Bridget, don't forget we do have Bike Week going on still. Just because it's morning doesn't mean those motorcyclists aren't out. Motorcycle riders, I need you to pay attention. Also, we did have a fatal over the weekend up
Yeah.
in Flagler, unfortunately. I was keeping my fingers crossed, Bridget, that we would maybe make it through the first weekend without any kind of
Yeah.
tragic incident, but unfortunately that already did did happen. So people just got to pay attention, and we'll have a good week out there. Fingers crossed.
Yes, and as far as the visibility right now, most places it's kind of lifting up off of the road for the most part, or are we still sort of, hazy in some spots?
It's going to be our rural areas. Like Candace was showing that western portion of I-4 on the western. So we're talking West Orange, the Lake County area, rural portions of 46. It does look like it's lifting off of like the metro area a little bit, ground level. Candace had those mileages from 1 to 5 miles an hour, 5 miles visibilities out in our kind of main highways, 46, 46A. But right now, things not ground level, not bad. But when you put the DOT cam up or our camera up towards the city, you look at that and you're like, my goodness, we were joking this morning. It looked like it was snowing out there because of the rooftops, but definitely not snow. My truck's reading 65 degrees outside, and it'll hopefully burn up soon because I'm going to be hopefully making contact with a guest today, a viewer. Her name's Joy. And she has questions about an intersection off of Dean Road by Lake Underhill. And I was actually out there the other day, hence why we're focusing all East Orange County. WKMG hits the road. So I'm going to go out there today and see what she's talking about. Hopefully welcome her here into the truck and we can chat a little bit because, hey, you and I are stuck in a box all morning long. So it's always fun when we get to meet viewers.
Yes. And one more note, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. So when we have these types of foggy conditions, we need to have our low beams on, not high beams, but we do need to have the lights on.
100%, Bridget. Man, I'm so proud of you guys. I need to get badges for my entire morning team. So yes, if it is inclement out there, even if the sun is up, we have kind of eerie conditions. It's not ideal. So yes, your headlights must be on, and Bridget's 100% spot on. You do not want to put high beams on this. The reason that you're putting your headlights on is to be seen, not necessarily to see. If you put your high beams on, you're going to create a wall in front of you and you're not going to be able to see past that. So low beams so that the other cars out there can kind of see when you're approaching, because depth perception gets pretty rough. Man, Bridget,
I just wanted to
man, that's my coworker
because,
right there.
Those things are tricky to remember sometimes when you really need it.
We need to come up with some swag we could hang from people's steering wheel, like check your six, new six or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Whoa! We just came up with something.
There you go. Bonus. All right.
All right.
We'll see you later. Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Bye. Well, we have some good news for you. After so many weather delays, Crew 8 lifted off late last night. You saw it lift off live right here on WKMG. And like we said, there were a couple of delays, and the 4 members of NASA and SpaceX's Crew 8 mission now on their way to the International Space Station. And overnight, the mission managers weighed in on how things went. Here's News 6's Mark Lehman with more.
Cheers coming from Mission Control as Crew 8 lifted off from Kennedy Space Center late last night. The 3 astronauts and 1 cosmonaut are now on their way to the International Space Station.
Kind of like a roller coaster ride with a bunch of really excited teenagers.
With the launch, a milestone was hit as 50 humans have now flown through the NASA SpaceX partnership.
What an outstanding launch. You know, you heard how excited the crew was. We were just excited in the Launch Control Center.
Crew 8 overcoming days of weather delays to get off the ground. Also, about 30 minutes before launch, another potential problem was found.
We saw a small crack on the side hatch seal at the top of the hatch. Main concern is re-entry.
But after analyzing the crack, mission managers found it wasn't a safety issue.
Eventually, it was determined that the size of the defect or separation of that RTV seal was within the qualified limits of the design. So that was ultimately the flight rationale that cleared us for launch.
Once Crew 8 gets to the ISS, they'll become part of Expedition 70. The 4 will be working on about 200 science and technology experiments as they're in orbit for the next 6 months.
And we want to get to a crime alert. Happened over the weekend. Gunfire left a woman dead. This happened at Central Florida Fairgrounds, of all places. People there just to have fun. But we have video showing a large scene. Crowds were leaving the fair Saturday night when gunfire broke out, and police say someone shot and killed 35-year-old Veronica Ramirez in the parking lot just after 10:30 Saturday night. So now they are looking for any clues that can help in that investigation. If you know anything, please call the crime line in that. Now we want to get to more on the tragic developments in the case of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. If you've been following this story, she was missing for several days, and then sadly, Friday she was found, her body was found, and it was 4 days after her mother had reported her missing. And this troubling story also continues more questions about exactly what happened. Her mother's boyfriend is the prime suspect in the case, but still no additional charges have been filed just yet. Here's Ezzy with more on the latest in this sad story.
Stephen Stearns, or Stephens. Your Honor, at this time, I am going to waive Mr. Stearns' appearance. I'm also going to waive the reading of these charges. Mr. Stearns is aware of what he's been arrested for.
Stephen Stearns was a no-show in court Saturday morning, hours after the body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto was found in Osceola County.
Stephen Stearns was transported from the Orange County Jail to the Osceola County Jail, where he is being held on capital sexual battery charges filed by the Kissimmee Police detectives.
Investigators are calling Stearns a prime suspect in Madeline's disappearance and say he never dropped her off near her school in Hunters Creek, which is what they initially had said when she was reported missing last Monday.
We believe she was already dead at the time and that Stephen Stearns moved her body in the early morning hours on that day.
Meantime, dozens gathered Friday night to honor the 13-year-old whose life was taken too soon.
I'm a dad of a 15-year-old. It's heartbreaking and saddening to kind of see this happening. Your children are supposed to be protected, and unfortunately in this case, she was exposed.
It's a devastating update, but we'll continue to keep you posted on what happens with Stearns and those additional charges that are pending probably. We had some airport delays, but things are hopefully getting more back to normal right now. Orlando International Airport experienced serious delays because of weather and staffing issues, and so travelers were definitely, held up for many hours, some of them. News 6 was there, and they were just waiting. We spoke with some who were waiting to find out the status of their flights. This is a busy time for the airport because we have of course, spring break starting up, but it comes with the territory when you head to the airport.
Well, I have a good book. I could be in a worse place to be stranded, so I guess I'll just sit it out and wait and see what happens.
Travel season is running now through April 7th, so just be prepared if you have travel plans around this window. The 44-day period is expected to set records with a projected 11% increase in passengers year to year, which is good news because we had seen some downturn with some of the tourism numbers here in Central Florida. The social media bill continues. Even though it was vetoed Friday by Governor DeSantis, lawmakers are still hoping to get this thing adjusted and passed before the end of the legislative session. But if they want to end on time, which this is the last week of the session, they'll have to get the budget passed by tomorrow. Then there's a 72-hour cooling off period before final vote on Friday. And they're going to revise that controversial social media bill, which would ban social media for those under the age of 18. So again, the lawmakers are going back to the drawing board to work on this.
We hold in our hands the opportunity to facilitate a potential solution to make sure this critical issue is addressed before the end of session.
So the governor's main reason for vetoing was, fear of it not holding up to legal challenges. He also voiced concern about parents not being included in the process. So those will probably be considerations as the lawmakers try to make changes and see if they can get the governor to sign off on it. Again, legislative session ends this week, so the time is running out. We're hitting the road. Trooper Steve mentioned it earlier, headed out to 32825, and we've been looking for all of the issues, the good and the bad. And News 6 investigator Mike Holfeld shows us how, with this being a booming area, There is housing, but for many families, the challenge is finding affordable housing. All righty, we're going to go to the next thing here. There's also a great story. You can check out that one by Mike Holfeld on clickorlando.com if you want to learn more about what's happening in East Orange County. In Pine Hills, a local nonprofit is very excited to be getting results for people in need. They have a new place to stay, and it's a Twofold Help Ministries project. They cut the ribbon on this new transitional home over the weekend, and it will house up to 12 people at a time, including veterans, people going through homelessness, and those recently released from prison.
Our thing is to instill in them love, hope, determination, and greatness. Because if God did it for me, He certainly can do it for them.
And the organization's hoping to eventually purchase a hotel or a large building like an apartment building in hopes of providing more transitional housing for people in need. And we know that that is a great need here in the community. Hey, want to let you know about early voting. It is underway right now in Orange County, and voters can cast ballots at several locations. And it begins Thursday in Lake County, as well as on Saturday. Voters in all other Central Florida counties can vote early, and we have all the details on that, of course, on how to vote, where to vote at clickorlando.com. Just go to the results 2024 section. While you're there, make sure you log in or sign up to be an insider, because the insider page is filled with great content, including an exclusive contest right now to win some tickets to see Tim McGraw. So if you head over to clickorlando.com/insider, you can enter to win as many times as you want between now and Wednesday to go see the show. And so make sure you check that out while you're on clickorlando.com. Straight ahead on News 6 Plus, we'll have Weather Wise with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, followed by Trooper Steve on patrol coming up at 8:30. I'll see you back on News 6 at noon for more news and weather updates, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 7:30 for more Breakfast with Bridgett. Hope you have a great day.